Okay, everybody, we are here for episode number 5 of the BRO2PRO podcast with your host, Morgan McDonald, myself, and Randy Madsen. What's up, Randy?
Not much. It's Friday, day after Halloween. Eating some candy.
Did you eat? How many mini bars did you eat?
At least a dozen last night.
Oh shit, really? I restrained myself. I had to do an update today with my coach, so I saved all mine for tonight.
It was chest day this morning, so I wanted to be ready.
How'd it go? Did you get a good pump?
Oh, best pump. But I am in the first week of the blast, so that helped a lot. Honestly, actually, I'm up 5 pounds in this first week. But one thing that we didn't cover on the last call was the finer details of my cycle. So I mentioned I was doing 500 tests and starting at just 200 primo, 200 mass, but working my way up to 400 primo, 600 mass there towards the end of the cycle. Those are the real workhorses, but I'm also using growth hormone and insulin and metformin. And so on my cruise, I wasn't using any of that, but
I did not know you were going to use insulin.
No, I didn't mention that.
I don't think so.
No, well, I've used it before, and the way I'm using it now is a little bit different, but so far so good. I wake up in the morning and I have a shake, and then I go train, and then I come home and I have a meal. So what I'm doing with my insulin is I'm waking up and I'm having 5 units of our insulin, and then I make a shake. It's got 35 grams of dextrose, 30 grams of carbs, some salt.
So is that 65 grams of carbs combined?
No, it's just 35 grams of carbs in this shake,
okay.
And 30 grams of protein. But it's only 5 IUs of our insulin. So that 35 grams of carbs would be enough for me, because I get by, I find I can go as low as 7 grams of carbs for an IU of insulin. Most people start around 10 or some need even more.
I'm like 20.
Yeah. So just 35 grams of carbs. And then I go to the gym and I train. So I pin that at about 6, and then I have the shake by 6:30. I'm at the gym at 7, train till about 8:30. Then I have another 35 gram carb shake to, finish the workout. It's just carbs in that one. And it's mainly because I know that our insulin is going to come back around right around that point. And I want to have that in my system.
How much insulin did you say you take in the initial shot?
Is the 5 IU.
Okay, right,
yeah. 5 units of our insulin, and then about 4 hours after the first shot, about 9:30 or 10, I'll go and I'll shoot 10 units of our insulin and have a big meal, like 70, 80 grams of carbs, 50 grams of fat, 25, 30 grams of protein in it, and then eat again 2.5, 3 hours later, cover the full dose of the insulin. And then I'm eating every 3 or 4 hours after that, and no more insulin after that. But I'll take my 2 units of farm growth before bed, Monday to Friday.
So with the Humulin R, that's what you're using, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What's the time, like the spike times on that? I've only ever used Humulog. So yeah.
It's something like, well, in my personal experience, it's more like you want to have that first meal within 45 minutes of shooting it, because the first spike's going to come around 45 minutes, and the next one around 90 minutes to 2.5, 3 hours. You'll feel it somewhere around there. But assuming you've eaten enough in the first place, it won't be a problem. So the R insulin is designed for low, a diabetic would only take a low dose of that, and they'd have a normal-sized meal. Whereas bodybuilders are trying to take as much of it as possible. We're taking way higher doses than what they're giving people at the hospital, kind of thing.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. So in regards to your protein intake, do you do macros or right now, or are you on a meal plan? How do you go about that?
That's something I wanted to ask you about too. That's funny. But basically I just decide a calorie amount to start with, and then I build my own diet around that. And it's, calories and then the macros. And then I make a meal plan that's going to work for me that hits my goals. Like I have a goal of eating 8 to 10 servings of vegetables and 8 to 10 cups of vegetables and 3 to 4 cups of fruit in my diet. Just something I'm trying out to be, as healthy as possible with the diet. And then other than that, it's 175 grams of protein, 500 grams of carbs, and like 85 grams of fat. That's the template. And then I fill it in how I want to do my nutrient timing, what kind of foods I want to eat. But I'm eating pretty clean, like a lot of vegetables and then some treats at night.
So with the proteins, how much do you weigh right now?
I'm up to 197, 198 today, but I was 190 last week.
Shit, man. Jeez, that's pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, the insulin and the growth hormone, they act quick, right? And I test those, and my fiance's not gonna watch this, but my sex drive went from 0 to 100 in 24 hours, and I'm only using the enanthate ester, but just getting that initial dose in, like, within 24 hours, I had 3 more boners than usual.
Nice, man. But I'm just curious about the protein intake, man, because it's obvious, like, for bodybuilders, like, it's usually like at least a gram per pound of body weight. Yeah. So like, what is making you do less than that?
So normally I do subscribe to 1 gram per pound, but I'm going to be I'm in such a calorie surplus that I only need the bare minimum protein, because here's my logic on it. One, all the tests done on protein intake are done on naturals. And when you get on gear, what gear does is actually makes you more efficient, so you do more with less. So in theory, you could take less protein and get the same benefits that a natural would need on more protein. But I would still go with 1 gram because it's easy to follow. That said, when you're in a real surplus, you're getting lots of carbs, for example, your protein requirements go down. And really 0.8 grams per pound is the new floor when you're in a calorie surplus, in my opinion. Likewise, when I'm in a deficit, I recommend 1.4 grams of protein per pound, because there's research on naturals for that, but I'd still advise it for an enhanced lifter.
So my logic is like completely different than that. Because like I agree with what you say, obviously, about like taking like steroids like increases your protein synthesis so you can use protein more efficiently. But in my mind, then I'm like, okay, so then if I can take in more protein, then like why don't I just increase it? Because also the way I think about it too is like I always hear about people say like, okay, eat 1 gram per pound of your body weight. And in my mind, I'm almost like, okay, that's probably enough to like stay the same, like to support the mass that you have. But if I'm trying to grow new tissue, I want to eat like an excess amount of protein to allow my body to have that extra protein to build new tissue. Because like if you're only eating enough to support the muscle you have and your body's trying to build new muscle, but the protein's not there, I feel like it would just be better to eat extra protein to ensure that that protein is there readily available when your body wants to use it to build new tissue.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I get that done with the lower amount of protein anyways. And I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're doing. The only technical point that I would come back at that with is that protein is taking up calories that could be better used otherwise, for example, to carbs and fats, which are delicious.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that's one way of looking at it, because I've always been like an excess protein guy. Now, like I said, it's something I've always done, like literally since like 2014. I've probably been eating like, 380 grams or 500 grams of protein a day. I drop it down a little bit, like when I'm off cycle. Like right now I'm cruising, so my protein's not as high as it was when I was blasting like full tilt on everything. But I mean, at the same time, like I've made pretty decent progress and I keep my digestion in check. I kind of have like genetically, I'm blessed like digestion wise, just from the amount of food I can handle. It's like pretty unreal to most people.
Yeah, I've never had a problem.
You've never had a problem?
I've always been able to pack it away, and I've got an iron stomach. Nothing really upsets it.
Yeah, like I have certain things I have to stay away from. Like dairy for me is pretty much like the thing.
Oh yeah.
But like, as far as like ground beef goes, like fatty meat, stuff like that, like I can put it down and digest it no problem. This is probably the first year I paid the most attention to my digestion, just like sticking with the rice for a carb source and taking out things like oats and sweet potato that kind of digest a bit slower, just for the sheer reason of putting the food down.
Yeah.
And it worked well. It allowed me to eat a ton more. And, obviously like I got up to the weight I wanted to get to and all that. Right. But yeah, it's crazy how many different opinions there are on protein. Like I've even heard of guys like John Meadows, like being like a half a gram per pound of body weight,
Really?
Yeah. Like I know, like I've seen John Meadows, some of his meals when he used to post that kind of stuff. He doesn't post that much like type of stuff anymore, but he would have like his breakfast would be like 2 eggs.
Oh yeah.
And there would be
Maybe,
meals with like 3
maybe
ounces
he
of
had
chicken.
a big bowl of oatmeal or cream of rice or cream of wheat that has a lot of protein in it.
Yeah, but is that protein the same? Like, when I see protein in like oats and like, even like bagels and stuff like that has protein in it, but like they're not really like they're considered grams of protein. I know that, but it's not like complete protein.
Well, I think that because there's a variety mixed together, and in a lot of those meals, there's the high quality protein sources in there as well. Even if it's only 50 grams of chicken, so let's say you get 25 grams of protein from the chicken and 25 grams of protein from the other stuff. It's still, 50 grams of protein and from a very varied, diverse set of types.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So you're saying basically that as long as there's some good protein in there and the rest of the protein might be from another source, but like, like all like you're still getting all the like essential amino acids basically to still get the same type of result, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's important to have some of that high quality, like this whole vegan shit that's been going on and that new documentary that's out that's such a joke.
Did you watch my video on that?
No, I didn't. It's in my queue.
Yeah.
That shit's, well, we don't have to cover it if you already covered it, but my official opinion is that it's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you can see like I think it was really well made to like kind of like trick people who don't know better. Like anybody who knows anything about nutrition and watches that, it's kind of like there's a ton of bullshit in there, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it seemed more like the movie was about just like bad talking meat than it really was about how good like eating like a plant-based diet was. I mean, we could go on about it. Like I think the thing that really was funny to me was, all the athletes they showcased were just like endurance-based athletes essentially. Mm-hmm. So it's like, of course, like having a high carb diet for them is going to work better for their performance.
Oh yeah.
As opposed to just eating like a bunch of steak instead of like a bunch of like potatoes.
Right.
But the funniest thing about this was to me was the strongman guy. So they had like that one like muscle bearing athlete, I guess. Like, so they used a strongman guy who for some reason they said was one of the strongest guys in the world, which he fucking isn't. Like we know all the strongest guys in the world. He's not one of them.
Never heard of him.
And he was like 50% body fat. So I'm like, here's the one athlete that you have that needs to take in 250 or 300 grams of protein a day. But because he's getting it from all these like plant-based sources, it comes in like a ton of extra carbohydrates and fat with it. And like, this is what you get.
Well, yeah. And not all that protein is generally bioavailable for our digestive tracts. We don't process like cellulose and a lot of those vegetables the same way that other animals do. We just don't get as much protein out of it. We don't extract the nutrients the same way. Like so you think of gorillas in the wild. I've read about this before. Gorillas in the wild need about the same amount of grams of protein per pound as humans do, coincidentally, a bit less. But they strictly eat those fucking bamboo sticks, right?
Yeah.
And they eat so fucking much of that.
Yeah, I mentioned that in my video.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, I basically just say like they need to eat like fucking like 40 pounds of vegetation a day.
Yeah, but even at that, they extract more protein and nutrients from those because their digestive tracts are built for that.
Yeah.
Ours are clearly meant for, and our teeth, all of it is clearly designed for eating meat to some extent, mixture of both. And people are unreasonable. And then that movie is it's a money thing.
Oh my God, dude. Totally. I would not be surprised at all if like that, like Beyond Meat company had like some type of like stocks in that movie or some shit like that.
Yeah.
That's really how it came about.
I think being a vegetarian or a vegan is totally fine as an ethical decision. I have I totally respect that. I love animals. I've got 2 dogs that are the most important thing to me in the world, and my fiance.
Yeah.
Zeus is definitely in first place. Zeus is the most important thing to me in the entire
Yeah.
world. Anyway, so, in some places, they eat dogs. And then that makes you start thinking about animal welfare and how they're treated and all these other animals and what's going on in their minds while they're being treated this way. So I respect and appreciate a person's opinion to be, ethically against eating meat. That's totally fine. But once they start talking about health and stuff, I mean, the studies done to say that eating meat is bad, that was bad science. That logic doesn't stand up. The real science doesn't stand up. And, vegetarians and vegans, they have to take these extra vitamins and minerals because they don't get enough from.
If they're smart, if they're smart enough to do that.
If you're smart enough. So that's obviously not a great healthy diet. Definitely not the healthiest diet if you have to supplement it.
Yeah.
If you could, instead of doing that, if you ate some meats, you would not have to have any supplements as just an everyday person.
Man, it's just the way this industry is now. It's like you got to belong to some group of people. Like you need to be on some team. Like it's either you're a fucking carnivore and you only eat meat, or you're plant-based. It's like, why can't we just keep doing what we've been doing forever and it's just be balanced? Like
the identity thing is going crazy right now. Like everyone wants to have an identity and be associated with a group or something that they do that they can announce online and share with other people. Like I made a post on Instagram just kind of being a dick where I said, why do people put who their coach is in their Instagram bio? Are you really that lonely that you need to like seek group affiliation and identity based on who tells you what to eat? And then I got high and I felt bad. I was like, oh no. So I deleted it.
Oh no, you should have left that up there, man, dude. That was so valid. I remember seeing that and I was like, fucking right. I couldn't agree more.
Point stands, but
And like, you can take that however you want. Like, there's a lot of coaches that have like their team, whatever, and like it's just like the name of their coaching company, right? Like, I always kind of looked at it like, okay, here's one person who's a coach, so all the athletes under them, like they consider like their team to a certain extent, because it just goes back to like, even if you played sports, obviously, like you can kind of gather where that concept comes from, right? But I think as like an individual athlete, if you think because you're signing up the coach, you're part of some like team, like that's like you're living in some type of imaginary fucking world, because like this is physique competition. Like you're by yourself. You have someone telling you what to do, but it's all on you. Like, and people will support you and shit like that. But like
everyone can. You don't have to. I don't like the way the teams can divide people, like team versus team kind of thing. You see that in the gyms too.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I guess just from like a competitive like standpoint, or like the whole like support thing, like people will say, oh, this person supports me, but like just because they're leaving comments on your Instagram post, like that's not fucking support. Like that's like imaginary support. That's like, it's very easy to do that. It's very easy to like someone's picture and give them a comment. Like the people who actually support you, like your fucking team, are like your family members that put up with you, or your girlfriend, or like, your buddies at the gym that are there helping you work out and get through your training sessions when you're getting ready.
That's a good point.
It's not the fucking team, like, right? Rob Hartlow actually made a really good point about this, and I thought it was awesome. He basically just said that, when he gets a client, like the client's not on his team, like he's on their team.
Yeah.
Right.
I said that too. I love that.
Yeah, like I thought that was pretty awesome, and I think a lot of coaches should, listen to that and kind of try to understand where he's coming from, and that should be your attitude when you're helping someone. Like you're there to help them. Like they're not there to make you look good as a coach. They hired you for you to do your best with them as an athlete. Like it shouldn't be all about you and how you look as a coach. Like that's a pretty selfish way of going about it, and I think that's what a lot of coaches in the industry are kind of like.
I've had clients ask me time and time again if I'm going to get team shirts made, and I tell them no, but if you want to make a t-shirt that says like team whatever your name is, like Team Nathan, I'll wear that shit, because that's what it's about when we're at that show.
1 second, dude, I gotta plug my computer in.
Cool.
This is so weird.
For anyone listening, if you're going to prep for Atlantics, start making some decisions on that really soon. You want to start your diet maybe at the new year. I am taking clients on. You can message me on Instagram at Madsen.
Yeah, me too.
So hey, so I got a question for you,
All right.
and I don't want to catch you off guard, but it's a tough question. All right. So tell me, how long do you plan on living?
Oh, I don't think about it, man. It's
You
like
know,
I can't live my life like that, especially in this sport. Like I feel like right now I know exactly what my goals are, right? Like I have business goals and I have like competing goals, and like I know the steps I need to take to get my life to where like I imagine it being one day, and that's obviously being like an Olympian, like bodybuilder, and living off of that, as well as like coaching people. Like, but at the same time, like I am doing everything I can now to keep myself healthy. Like I get my blood work done every 8 or 10 weeks. Like I'm seeing a good doctor that knows what he's talking about when it comes to this stuff. He understands the impact these things have on my body. So, you know, as long as my blood work is healthy and it tells me that I can keep pushing myself, I will. But I'm obviously like, if something ever came up on my blood work and my doctor was like, and I'm dead serious, like with even saying this, like even if I was like 3 or 4 weeks after the show, my doctor was like, well, like you got to stop what you're doing right now, or like this could be bad. Like I definitely would. Like health is 100% a priority of mine over anything. Like I also, like I say that, like I don't think about it, but at the same time, I don't want to be like, you know, I don't say this in any type of disrespectful way. Like I don't want to be like a Dallas McCarver. Like I don't want to be the big young kid who is way bigger than everybody else at an early age and then pops because he pushed it too hard too fast. Like and it's because I love bodybuilding so damn much that I wouldn't want to be like another person that kind of tarnishes the sport and puts that like that scare in people, like for like young guys or, you know, even fans of the sport. Like they see a young guy coming up and then there's that fear that he's going to like, you know, die from what he's doing. So like that is definitely one fear I have and something I think about. But like I said, I do what I can, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, we're all acknowledging that by engaging in what we do, not just the drugs, but the training as well, and the diet and the dieting and the weight goes up and down. Those things, they age us, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, totally, man. Exactly. I think you kind of just, you might not accept that right away when you get in the sport, but for the guys who stick with it and you really learn like what pushing yourself actually is, and like, you know, how like the levels to the sport, because there are so many levels like to this, and like how detailed they can get and how like serious I guess it can get. Um, but yeah, like you just kind of accept that, I guess. And
Yeah.
but like I'm the type of person like with my life, man, like I don't want to say I don't care about like getting old or anything like that. Like I just want to get the most out of my life that I can for like the time I'm here, right? So if the sport like lowers my lifespan, but I reach my goals and live a life that I'm passionate about and I'm happy living, and I like, to me it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
Like if I die when
Absolutely.
I'm 60 because I got to the Olympia stage, like as opposed to living until I'm 80 and not reaching any of my goals, like I'm cool with that,
Yeah.
right?
I, I'm sure, aside from unique cases, on average, a serious bodybuilding career will probably take about 10 years off the end of your life. But if it were only 10 years, but you know, you got to, you know, accomplish your goals, like you say, and get that feeling of getting, you know, a lot of people wouldn't understand this, but I think the people watching this show will. When you get on stage and you are fucking on, you know, you're shredded, and you come out and you just hit that front relaxed pose and you're just kind of looking around and everyone's like, oh, and you look awesome. There's no better feeling than that
Yeah.
in sports. So I played a lot of sports. You know, I played some exciting positions. You know, kick returner, power returner, receiver, running back on the football team, kind of thing. Scored some glorious touchdowns. and nothing compares to like that full auditorium, like that full casino. Like, for example, you know, when you go out and you get there, and it's worth it. It becomes worth it. And along the way, I think if bodybuilding can make you better at other things in life, like make you an organized person, a dedicated person, structured person, hopefully a healthier person in some lifestyle habits at least, then it's a net positive.
So I should probably mention something about that. Well, first of all, like I still haven't like won an overall at a show, and like that's kind of that's what I'm chasing. Like at the end of the day, like I still don't know what that feels like. That's what keeps me coming back, I guess, in a way, right?
Yeah, but you've got on stage and looked awesome, and the crowd goes wild. So you know what I mean.
Oh fuck yeah! Oh, 100%, yeah, dude. If it's amazing feeling, but you know, and I'm sure winning overall will be even better than that. But you know, for me, I look at it like bodybuilding changed my life for the positive anyway. Like I can see how some people look at bodybuilding and think it could be like a toxic thing in your life, but like where I was in my life when I started bodybuilding, like it couldn't have got worse than it was.
Yeah.
Like I was on Shit Creek, going down Shit Creek without a paddle, right? Like I was in a bad shit. I was hanging around with bad people. Like if I kept going the way I was going, like I don't mean to be cliche when I say this, but I would literally be dead or probably in jail. But bodybuilding was like one thing for some reason I liked more than what I was doing, what I was spending my time doing.
Yeah.
You know, like I enjoyed like, you know, playing gangster and thinking I was a badass and partying and doing drugs and all that stuff. But for some reason, man, bodybuilding was just something I couldn't get out of my head that I wanted to do. And ever since I started chasing that, like my life has just been like so positive in every way.
Do you think though, do you know anyone, for example, that they get into bodybuilding and everything ramps up real quick, and before you know it, they've been on gear for a couple of years, and then they decide, you know, they age a couple of years, become a little wiser, and they're like, I actually don't want to do this, you know, but they've fucked with their hormones to the point maybe they you know, permanently. So a female, for example, could have some real problems that she has to live with. A guy might be having to do a test shot weekly for the rest of his life, for example, or be infertile. Do you know anyone that's gotten into it but gone real ham and then regretted it?
I'm sure I do, but I don't think I've ever really talked about it with anybody.
No.
You know, I think when I see people like that, I just think that, you know, maybe, well, I'm sure like there's lots of people who I'm sure quit for their own personal reasons, but it's also a really tough sport. Like, you know, I even have some days where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, you know, but then like there's, you know what this is like, man, you're probably the same way. There's good days and bad days. But I believe that like, if you really put 100% into something, like really give 100%, like you should have days where you question everything. Because that's when you know that you're
real bad days.
Well, that's when you know you're putting everything into it, right? When you start to question yourself.
When you're serious about it, you know, that doubt I think is important, because when you have doubt, it removes room for complacency.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Fuck 100%, man. That's what keeps you on all the time, right?
Right. You know, you it's like, even if you're at the top, there's someone chasing at your heels, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you always got to push it.
Yeah. And like, I have that feeling a lot of times, like, you know, pretty much like every week for me, I feel like I get a little further ahead in life, whether it's like financially or business wise or like with my physique or whatever. But it's because like I legitimately have this anxiety, like there's someone trying to take all this shit away from me. Like I literally have anxiety about like being homeless.
Yeah.
But it keeps me grinding, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, every day is like, I have this much shit to do and I'm not going back to bed until all of this shit is done. And I did it to like 100% of my ability, you know. Now, with that being said, like I don't nail every day. I fuck up some days, you know. There's not every day is a good day, but you still put the effort in, right?
Well, part of that is not quitting, you know. As long as you don't quit and you just keep going, eventually, you know, you don't have to have perfect days, but if you have a lot of good days, you know, that'll put you further ahead than where you're at right now.
Yeah, I think it's just what separates people is just like real, like pure passion. Like I think I could have like a string of terrible days, and I could think about quitting every single one of those days, but I don't think I actually have the ability to give up.
Yeah, I don't have that either.
Right.
But, because we've gotten to where we're at. It's clear that we have some abilities or some strengths that other people might not have discovered or applied yet. But I'm definitely a touch OCD, a touch high anxiety, maybe even hints of borderline personality disorder. But all these things I use to my benefit, to be organized, to be driven, to just be more effective. I think, anyways. It's probably really annoying for some of the people in my life sometimes.
Yeah.
But I address those on a case-by-case basis.
But I think like to reach a certain level, especially in bodybuilding, like you have to be like that, Like there's certain level of crazy that you have to have.
Well, so on that note, you're with a coach now, and he's giving you a meal plan. I understand, and you follow it militantly, I'm sure. But how often do you fuck off, like on your diet in the hospital?
I'll give you an example of me fucking off. So this happened twice this week. I just because of my morning work schedule has like become a little bit busier. My meals kind of got pushed ahead a little bit. So this shit eats away at me too, by the way. But so 2 days this week, my last meal, I was supposed to have 3 eggs with 4 ounces of chicken and 130 grams of cream of rice and 70 grams of blueberries before bed. And because like I'd have to eat that meal at 9:30, and because my meals got pushed ahead, the meal before that I ate at like 7:45 or like 8 o'clock. What I would do is I would just do like a cup and a half of oats mixed with protein powder and peanut butter for my last meal. So I would match up the calories, so they would and all the macros would be identical, but it would just be different food. So like that's me fucking up on my diet. That's the extent of me fucking up. Like I don't fuck up any more than that. Like I don't miss a meal. Actually I should say, so what I'll do some days, and this is probably like an asshole thing to do too, but like I have scheduled cheat meals.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 a week depending. And sometimes if I'm just supposed to take out one meal and have like a cheat meal, like a burger and fries and like a small dessert. But sometimes I'll just be feeling like I want more than that. So I'll skip 2 meals and just have a bigger cheat meal.
Yeah.
So I might have like 2 burgers and fries with like a box of Timbits or some shit.
Right.
So, but it's not that often that happens.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah. What about you? Like, do you fuck up on your diet? Like I know you don't prep, but like in the off season, like will you fuck off for a day or what?
Yeah. I find I just get real snacky at night after I get stoned.
Yeah, of course.
And so it's worse now than it's been before because Kelsey's pregnant and she's got all these little snacks in the house.
Right.
I pop in my mouth too easily. There goes 100 calories.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So yeah, I've been going probably over by 100 or 200 calories in the evening. So the next day I just kind of alter a couple afternoon meals and try to balance it out.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about eating like 3,800 calories a bunch of days when I'm supposed to stick to around 3,500.
Yeah.
I'm doing a fair amount of cardio, 1 for heart health and 2 because the dogs need exercise. And it's because walking's good for her as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I hear you on the like that's something you learn like when you do this like for a while is that like if you fuck up or like if you know you're gonna have like a big cheat meal or something, like you can even make altercations earlier in the day. Like I'll do that sometimes too. Like if I know I'm gonna have a big cheat meal one night and I'm like kind of binge out a bit and be an idiot, like I won't eat like my avocado in one of my meals. Or like instead of having a ground beef meal I'm supposed to have, I'll just have like a chicken meal. Just to kind of save some of those like fat calories for that dumbass thing I know I'm gonna eat later, right?
For sure. The move I make is I might drop avocado, but instead of having rice, I'll have popcorn.
Oh yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, so like same with me. Like every now and then, instead of having cream of rice, I might have like Rice Krispies.
Yep.
Right, because it's like it's really not a whole lot different, and I digest it fine. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm really loving is having the increased fats in my diet. So Broderick wanted me to have 85 grams of fat, where I normally probably go up to max 60, and even in the off season. But in prep, I don't eat fats, like especially near the end. All my fat calories are gone, and so I'm really enjoying eating foods with fats in it. Instead of egg whites, you get some egg yolks in there, and I got my avocados back, and the ground meats. Like, it doesn't beat nothing beats ground beef.
Oh, dude, 100%. I could eat that.
Ground
shit
beef and rice, or ground beef and potato, some ketchup and some salt. Like, that is a bodybuilder staple. It has to be.
It's so easy to eat.
Yeah.
Right, and it's good shit. So let's go back to you're doing cardio now. How much cardio are you doing in the off season?
I'm doing 30 minutes 6 days a week because
Fuck off. Are you serious?
I'm training 6 days a week, and so I do 50 minutes before and 50 minutes after every workout.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, so I got the reason, I'll be honest, and the reason I asked you the question earlier, how long you planned on living, is because that's something that I've been dealing with more recently myself, and especially with a pending child.
Pending.
20s, especially my late 20s. Though I got into bodybuilding at about 25, 26. But even before that, I was lackadaisical about health and longevity. But then I got into bodybuilding, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this till the wheels fall off. I'm going to do what it takes, whatever it takes, I'll do it. I don't care. And at that point, I didn't have any plans on having family, and I wasn't sure about marriage. Probably it was against it, different depending on when you asked me. And then, that I recently grew up kind of thing. I feel like, and I started to think maybe, dying at 45 would be good. And so there was a few catalysts. One, if I actually go even further back, once I started to do well financially and setting up long-term investments and making plans, and I was like, when I retire at 55 and I don't have to work anymore, because then that's my plan. A little sooner, depending on how a few things pan out. What am I going to do? I'm not going to have a family to spend my time with. And the time I was separated from Kelsey as well. We took some time off there. We broke up for a little while. And so I was like, I don't even have a partner, let alone a family. And then, so first it was like, well, what if I reach 55 and I die and I lose all my money? I wouldn't have gotten a chance to enjoy my money, so I want to live longer. Then Kelsey and I got back together and talked about starting a family and getting married. And then I was like, well, geez, what would be real nice is to, when you're retired, to play with your grandkids. In order to have grandkids, you got to have kids. Yeah. We were like, it's like that, and start thinking about that. And even in that context, it would be amazing if I lived to 70. That would be, I don't need past 70, but if I'm being realistic, given what I'm doing, it could be 60 could be as old as I get, which is scary to think. My dad's 55 right now, and he had a heart, he's still 55, 56. He had a heart attack this year though, and he survived it, but he required a quadruple bypass. The crazy thing is, his mother died of a heart attack at 55 herself. So this heart attacks, or maybe you refer to it as heart disease, might be more in my genetics than other people's. That said, where I do my blood work and stuff, that's why I'm extra cautious about it. That's why I go an extra level into it. But my grandmother was an alcoholic and smoked all her life, didn't ever exercise, and had bad diet. My dad smoked and partied for at least the first half of his life and had shit diet. Has only recently, post heart attack, really cleaned things up because he has to, and he's done a great job of it. Actually, by the way, he's in great shape already. Looks great. Really happy for him. It's a wake-up call. But that tells me that if I have a heart attack at 55, I think I'll still be at least healthy enough to survive it.
Yeah.
that's more of a joke.
Well, I think
I can avoid it, but that's a real possibility too that I've come to realize in the last year or so.
I think though at the same time too, like we're so much more like advanced, like even in like medicine itself, and even just
That's true.
our awareness as bodybuilders or just like society in general, like and being in Canada, like we can get our blood checked as many times as we want. Like, you know, we have some things working for us that I feel like people 40, 50 years ago didn't, right?
For sure.
And just I think just the awareness in general, and also the fact of like we know about like hereditary illness, like you just said, like
Mm-hmm.
you know your grandma had a heart attack at 55, your dad had a heart attack at 55, so you know that's something you're predisposed to, so it gives you the ability to take the precautions that you're going to need to take to avoid that, right?
Yeah, you know, but it's heavyweight to come to, you know, to deal. You know, you realize that, and you're like, okay, how serious am I about doing what I'm doing? And I don't want it to make me die in the next 15 years, kind of thing. But if I died at 60 instead of 70, that is just that. Honestly, that just makes me want to make sure that I work as hard as I can to make it as a comfortable 60 years as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
For comfortable for me is different than someone else is comfortable. For me, I have to do these things that I do. I have to bodybuild. I have to, you know, I have a day job. I've got a rental business, and I coach clients. Keep about a dozen clients or so at a time. So, but that level of busyness, I like that. It just happens to generate money too.
Yeah, well, obviously, that's important. But yeah, I know for me, like in my family, like I feel lucky on the genetic side of things. I'm gonna knock on wood before I say any of this, but like I don't really have any like major hereditary issues in either side of my family. Like my older family members are resilient as hell. They're all like in their 80s and 90s, and like haven't really even dealt with anything themselves. And it's kind of like reassuring to me in a sense because I'm 330 pounds. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the only thing I worry about. Like I don't worry too much about things I can't control. I think the only thing I worry about is being this big for as long as I'm going to be this big. You know, like obviously, like the only time I give my body a break will be in prep, which is not like a super healthy thing to do. And the lowest my weight is going to get now is 270 in the next, like, you know, like however long I do this for, you know, and I would assume my next off season I'll be bigger and my next prep I'll be bigger. So I think that's the only thing I think about. But then again, it comes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, which is, you know, checking health markers and all that shit, right?
Yeah. Which, by the way, people, I think for anyone that is doing their own blood work and maybe not working with a coach who has told them this, don't get blood work the same day, you know, later on in the day that you train. Always wait till like the next day or even the day after, because training is going to fuck up at least your liver profile. Your creatinine is probably going to be high even over 2 or 3 days after training, but it'll be higher on your training day. But I've recently reviewed blood work with a client that was freaking out about some ALT and AST levels that were a little higher than they should be. But he doesn't take orals and he hasn't been drinking. I was like, when did you get these done? His blood was drawn like 3 hours after he trained.
Oh yeah, man. I think
trained a major body part at that.
Yeah, I think you should like, I try not to train for 2 days before I do mine.
Yeah.
It just, that's where you're going to
fuck up your blood work.
Eating.
Yeah. It's going to make it look like you're on oral. Well, they won't be that bad, but yeah. It's going to make it look like there's something wrong. And and you can avoid that.
Well, I think we'll leave it there today. I'm pretty good. You?
I'm good.
Yeah, that was a good one, man. I think we hit a couple of good topics there that we didn't even plan on really talking about. But I already got a few things in mind that we can talk about for the next one. Hopefully, we're going to have a guest on this weekend, so we'll be putting out 2 of these podcasts this next week for sure. So I'll get us out of here. So guys, Randy and I are both fantastic coaches for all of your physique and lifestyle needs. So feel free to hit up myself. I'm going to put our Instagrams at the end of this video like I always do, so you can DM me for online coaching. And Randy, you got anything to say before we go?
No, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you comment, any of that interaction stuff, boost this. So if you like this, give us a boost, hit us up, feedback, send us messages, comment.
Yeah, guys, and if you like these podcasts, please leave comments below of topics you want us to cover. It gives us more stuff to talk about, and we just want to put on information that's really going to help people. That's kind of the whole idea behind this thing. We don't want to just talk about ourselves, as much fun as that is. So, but anyways, we'll leave it there. We are out. Episode 5 is done. See you guys later. Thanks for watching.